I am Yvonne, mediator, divorce custody life coach, and I'm a principal at Kaffour Law Firm. We're located in Dallas, Texas. On this channel, I will educate and empower you to resolve your own legal issues. My goal is to save you time, money, and help you minimize conflict, stress, and anxiety while going through one of the most challenging times in your life. This channel does not contain any legal advice. The legal information I provide here is solely for your informational and educational purpose. Before taking any advice based on the information you receive on my channel, please consult with a licensed attorney. The reliance or the use of any information on this channel is solely at your own risk. Welcome to another segment of our Case Study Week. I love our Case Study Week. And so today we're going to analyze real cases while you get some education. In today's video, we will learn the difference between separate property and community property. So let's get right into it. Community property. Community property in Texas is property accumulated during your marriage. This means that your income, your 401k, your retirement, your vehicle, your home, investment homes, everything that you accumulate during your marriage is community property. I hear people say, but I worked for it. She didn't work, he didn't work. It's all my effort. It doesn't matter in Texas. Whatever you accumulate during your marriage is community property. Separate property. What is separate property? Separate property or property that you acquired prior to marriage. A separate property is also property that you inherit from your parents or a family member. Your spouse does not have any right to those properties. Whatever property that you accumulate before marriage becomes your separate property during a divorce case. Now, let's talk about a case that involved a separate property and now during the divorce became a community property. Case study 1. Separate property now turned into community property during a divorce. A man worked hard for 10 years, saved up a ton of money, and purchased a home. 4 years later, he married his wife. And after he married his wife, the wife suggested to him that it would be a good idea if the property is in both names. And so the man, loving his wife, trusting the wife, decided to transfer the rights to his separate property to his wife and himself. And so what he did is he signed a deed and transferred his interest to both of them. Now, 6 months after that, wife files a divorce. And in divorce court, the question became, what is the status of this property? Is this property a separate property or is this property a community property? Well, the problem for the man is that this property is classified as a community property because this property was acquired during the marriage. And so the situation now involved the judge deciding what to do with the property. Should this property be granted to the husband solely as a separate property, or should the property be granted to husband and wife as community property? And the takeaway from this case is, if you have a separate property and you get married, there is not a need to transfer your separate property to you and your wife. You can maintain your separate property as a separate property. And this really resolves the issue as to who gets to keep this property and what the classification of the property is during a divorce. Keep your separate property separate. Scenario 2. Parties were dating. They dated for so many years. And the 5th year of their dating relationship, they decide to purchase a home together. But the lady's name was not on the mortgage or the note, and for some reason, they didn't have the lady's name on the deed. And both parties for several years paid down the mortgage on this property. They then got married after the 5th year of purchasing this property. And so the parties have been together 10 years now. And so After marriage, they lived again for another 4 years, both paying on this property and building the equity and reducing the amount of loan they had on the property. A husband filed for divorce, and the wife had a rude awakening because this house is the husband's separate property, because the house was purchased before the marriage. And so now the question is, what would the court do? The lady has put a lot of money into this property, before the marriage and during the marriage. And so what will the court do? To prevent a situation like this, what you do is, after you get married, transfer the property to both parties. Get a deed transferring the property from the man to both parties. And that way, if there's a divorce situation, if there is a divorce, then the court can see that this property is community. Click below to access my life coach program for coaching on how to access an attorney to obtain information on classification of your property. Remember to follow my channel to learn more about the legal process. If you have not already done so, be sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification so that you're notified when I post a new video.